Some early reactions claimed Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey is better than Return of the King.
You serious?
Yeah, it's not. You're not that guy, bud. You're not that guy. But after all the hype, casting controversies, and critics calling this Christopher Nolan's next masterpiece, is it actually one of his best movies? Today I'm giving you a regular guy who loves movies' honest opinion of The Odyssey. No fluff, no payment from Universal. Look at the views. They're not paying me, I promise you. The Odyssey is undeniably one of the best looking films I've seen. The only thing in recent time that compares scale-wise to The Odyssey would be the Dune films. Dune 1 and 2 obviously are on a more galactic scales. They required a lot more CGI, and CGI was a lot more prevalent in those films. The Odyssey could have definitely gone down that route, and everything in here that is spectacular could have been done with excellent CGI. But as Christopher Nolan often does, he defers to using practical effects, and some of the practical effects in this movie are absolutely incredible. Some of the effects in this movie I did not think were possible to do on such a big scale. The editing with the fight sequences aren't as choppy as a usual Christopher Nolan film, which is a massive improvement. You actually get to see a bit more of it, which is great. And I am definitely not saying this movie is better than the Dune films. It just differs in its delivery of its scale, which is important to note. Performances across the board were all good. Nothing like what critics are saying for me personally. I've seen a lot of critics saying like career-defining performance for Anne Hathaway, career-defining performance for Matt Damon, Robert Pattinson.
Vengeance.
They're all good. I've definitely seen Matt Damon, Anne Hathaway, and Robert Pattinson all deliver much stronger performances in the past, particularly Pattinson, who is like probably my favorite working actor at the moment. He's genuinely fantastic in every role he's in. He was just good here. No standout poor performances. I think everything you get in this movie is what you would expect from successful A-list actors. I think the end of Act 2 flowing into Act 3 is where this film is the strongest. Act 3 is definitely the most engaging and exciting part of this film. There's some really strong sequences in there, or a lot of great action, some better character moments that were probably lacking in the first two acts, if I'm being honest. Act 3 was really strong. I don't think it's the best Act 3 I've ever seen. Like, once again, some people were saying the first act of this movie is where I had major issues with the pacing. It felt really off. Don't get me wrong, there's some good parts in Act 1, particularly the Cyclops scene was a standout for me. I think it's actually my favorite sequence set piece of the entire film. That being said, I just wish some of the things in Act 1 got to breathe a bit more. There's some really cool and exciting ideas here. They just never get to eventuate to anything more than like a few moments. And that is sort of the problem overall with the first act. It's very choppy and jarring and jumps from point to point very quickly. It did feel like as soon as a sequence was getting exciting, it was, okay guys, we've got to run back to the boat. Honestly, like that sort of like sequence of them running back to the boat from danger happens quite a few times. It felt a bit like formulaic at moments. And obviously that might be on the story of the Odyssey. That might just be the material that Nolan adapted. But you know, we're making a movie here, adapt it and make it a bit better and more exciting maybe?
Don't be ridiculous.
I think there is an argument to be made that there's a story reason why the first act is so jarring and jumps from like thing to thing to thing. There's an argument to be made there, yes, but I think as an audience member, just because there's a reason the story is being told in a way doesn't always make it enjoyable to watch. I will say, to give this movie credit, it does get more cohesive as the movie goes on. Much more of a flow throughout the film. The sound design during the action sequences is absolutely phenomenal. Some massive booming sounds, almost gets close to being too fucking loud, but for me personally, I loved it. I love when the sound like really punches you in the gut. You can like feel it. That's great. That's why we go to the movies. But once again, in the quieter moments, there was a lot of times where I was like, what the fuck did that guy just say? I don't know what it is about Christopher Nolan films, but dude, can you make your dialogue, when it's important particularly, easy to hear?
No, it's a secret.
There's so many times where crucial parts of information get drowned out by other noises going on in the scene. Us dummies who didn't read the Odyssey, I just kind of was getting a little bit lost with what was going on and who was who and what was going on in the world. Okay, let's address the elephant in the room. The casting. Don't bite my head off. While I understand some of the criticism of the casting, some of it, admittedly, was really weird. I will say, overall, in terms of the plot and the story and the movie, it was a bit inconsequential to the overall quality of the film. That being said, the amount of star power in this film did end up being a bit of an issue for me. Like, no spoilers, I promise I'm not gonna spoil what his role was, but the literal first shot of this movie is a close-up of Travis Scott. And I can't believe I said that sentence about a Christopher Nolan film. That the first shot of a Christopher Nolan film was of Travis Scott. What the fuck? If there was a top 5 list of weirdest people to have in a Christopher Nolan film, Travis Scott would have to be in that list. It is so random. And once again, I'm not going to tell you his role, but let's just say another one of Travis Scott's concerts has involved a couple of deaths. But A-list and extremely recognizable actors were filling the roles of parts that are usually reserved for up-and-coming actors, lesser-known actors, really strong character actors. We're like, I feel like I've seen that person before. Dialogue that just doesn't feel like it belongs in this time period at all. Costumes, and I particularly mean the armor, a lot of the times it looks quite obviously like it's made out of plastic. And the overall designs of them teetered on being goofy as fuck. And then the accents. Do not get me started on the accents. Everyone in this movie sounds American. And I couldn't fathom it. There's certain people in Odysseus's crew that sound like they just finished their shift working at a dock in New York. Hey, Odysseus, hey, I'm walking here, you jerk off. Like, what are we doing? All of these things that I've mentioned just now combine to make an experience in a world that I found really, really tough to get immersed in. When I saw comparisons to Lawrence of Arabia, yep, I saw that online, Return of the King. I was fully expecting to get engrossed in the experience and the world that Nolan has built here. And the problem is the visuals are so strong that it like draws you in, and a performance from an actor is good. You know, they're delivering the lines really well. They're convincing you they're the character. And then they deliver some phrase or line or word that just doesn't belong, and you are just shit whipped back into reality, and you're like, oh, that's Anne Hathaway. Oh, there's Tom Holland. What's he doing? Little Tom Holland, you silly boy in a tunic. Lord of the Rings doesn't break your immersion. Lawrence of Arabia doesn't break your immersion. Dune 1 and 2 doesn't break your immersion. Blade Runner 2049 doesn't break your immersion. Robert Eggers films don't break your immersion. Everything they do is catered to the world they are built to engross you in the story it's telling. Those movies listed disappear when you're watching them. You stop watching actors and you start believing in the world. I never quite got there with the Odyssey. And this is my major issue with the film. I just never felt immersed in the world. And it's frustrating because it would have been so easy to do it. The visuals, the acting, the world, how it looks, the practical effects, cinematography, the action, even the sets are all really, really strong. But it just needed to go that tiny bit further with getting like a bit more of a time period accurate accent. I don't mean like a Greek one, but do like the Lord of the Rings, that like British kind of accent that every period piece does, and it works. There's a reason people do it. Maybe tighten up the script a bit to have dialogue that sounds a bit more time period accurate. All of those things could have taken this movie from just a good movie with some great moments to an all-time fucking banger. When early reactions get pumped in front of you from critics and influencers and all that junk, just like absolutely glazing this film like it is literally one of the best movies of all time, at the very least one of the best films of the decade, it's pretty hard not to go in with those expectations. I promise you I did like the Odyssey. I had a good good time at the cinema. It's a good movie, but for me, I don't even think it's in Nolan's top 5. And yes, I know that's a really tough comparison because Nolan has a fucking phenomenal filmography. I don't think it's decade defining. I don't even really think I would watch it again. And I know some people are going to completely disagree with me, but I would much rather people disagree with me and actually see the movie instead of letting critics and early reactions form their opinion. If you've seen this review and you're interested in seeing the Odyssey, please go and see it. Do not let me deter you with my issues. Go and make up your own mind and maybe come back and let me know what you thought. All that being said, I do think this movie is worth the price of admission. There are some spectacular moments that are worth seeing on the big screen, and it is a technical filmmaking achievement, but the script, the pacing, and the lack of immersion is what really held this movie back for me. Have you seen the Odyssey? Are you going to see the Odyssey? You're not going to see the Odyssey? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to discuss with you guys like what your thoughts are overall on this. Maybe I have got the complete wrong opinion in your opinion, but that's a great thing about movies. Thank you very much for watching. I love you very much. Bye-bye. Tricked you.